Please remain standing for the Belize national prayer. Almighty and eternal God, who through Jesus Christ has revealed your glory to all nations, please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. God of might, wisdom, and justice, please assist our Belizean government and people with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude. Let your light of your divine wisdom direct their plans and endeavors, so that with your help we may attain our just objectives. With your guidance, may all our endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. We pray, O God of mercy,
for all of us, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your most holy law, that we may be preserved in union and in peace, which the world itself cannot give. And after enjoying the blessings of this life, please admit us, dear Lord, to that eternal reward that you have prepared for us who love you. Amen. Please be seated. I now invite Rear Admiral Elton Bennett to the podium for this morning's welcome address.
Thank you very much, Masters of Ceremonies. I would just like to go straight into acknowledging the team that has taken time out of their schedule to be with us this morning. The People's Constitution Committee has been charged with ensuring there's a proper educational campaign that takes its course across the country and to deliver the expertise that is necessary to educate our nation on the Constitution by definition, by responsibility, how we're structured as a government and our responsibilities as people. There's a very tight timeline that they have. And when they reach out to us and ask if it's possible for them to come over to the Belize Coast Guard to do a presentation, I felt very pleased that you would consider the Coast Guard as a group that is a key part of the information that goes back as feedback into the work that you do to make that contribution to what our views are, not only as individuals and Belizeans, but collectively as a military service in this country. For us to be able to give our input into shaping what the Constitution may very well become. So I just want to tell you thanks in advance for taking time to be with us. And also for every individual who came from annual leave or from shore leave to physically be here and to be present in this very, very important session. This is indeed a major milestone in our privilege that is given to us. So this right here is very, very important. So thank you very much for coming out. I will hand over back to the Masters of Ceremonies for him to continue with the program of events. Thanks.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Bennett. I now call to the podium Mr. Glenfield Dennison. He is the Vice President of the People's Constitution Commission. He works in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution as Crown Counsel and has 13 years of experience as a public servant. He is a very established farmer on the weekends. Please welcome Mr. Glenfield Dennison.
Morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I've been here in the past in my previous life. I said morning more. See, you may remember, but in my previous life, I used to work at the fisheries department, and then went to law school and so. We are here because we have a very important undertaking, and a big part of that is hearing the views of the Belizean people. So we want to take this segment mostly to hear from you. In order to do that, what we try to do is to contextualize the Constitution. Because I just want to do a quick poll. If you've read this book cover to cover, please put your hand in the air. Right. Right. So don't be frightened. That's exactly why we're here. Right? That is the reason we are here, is because the general Belizean population have not read this book. Now, it's too hot for me to sit down here and read line by line the latter page, right? So we're not do that. I know we don't have the discipline to do it, I don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask Mr. Bradley to go through with us an overview of the constitutional provisions. And as we're doing that, it's going to be very engaging. But after we do that overview, if there's anything specific that you guys would like to ask about, then we go into a question and answer discussion phase. That is the most important part. Because in addition to trying to educate yourselves about what's in the Constitution, we want to hear from you about the issues that are affecting you that you believe have a constitutional context. So while Mr. Bradley is doing his discussion, I ask you to pay keen attention, because what will follow up is only to tell we what we want in our Constitution. Right? Talk Creole, right? Good. So we are skipping over the usual, getting into a lot of the background and all of that. But I have to just say the PCC's mandate is to consult the people of Belize. We have here, I am the vice chair. Thanks for the promotion to vice president. But I don't get paid. No problem. Yes, so with me is the zone leader for the Belize district, Miss Maria Zabani, and the deputy, right? Can't know the motto. Deputy zone leader, Miss Lisbeth Espat. Are you so? Yes. And so we are charged with the Belize district zone, and we've found that because the Coast Guard base is here, you guys fall in our district. So what we will do is report the comments and concerns and issues that you say are affecting you and how it relates to the Constitution, and we're going to see how we can incorporate what you share with us today in the Constitution. Now, it's also possible for you guys to tell us that the Constitution is perfect and we could go home. Right. You could say, harder, man. So we're going to ask you to just pay keen attention to Mr. Bradley as he just goes over the constitutional provisions, and then we get straight into the question and answer. Everybody okay with that? All right. I have to introduce Mr. Bradley, but I hate having to do something that you really don't need to do. Dickie Bradley's name is like that, you won't trademark. You should have trademarked that and charge people every time they say that. Richard Dickie Bradley has been a good friend to the People's Constitution Commission and has been really a trailblazer in helping us educate the people of Belize on what the constitutional provisions are. So I don't think I need to say, anybody know who that Dick Bradley? Right. So no need to introduce Mr. Bradley. Mr. Bradley, I'm going to call you up to please help us with the constitution. Please help me welcome him to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. Am I able to be heard in the Rear Admiral's decked out chairs to the back or no? You could hear me? Okay. I can't legal voice, so I have to be careful how I talk. Which reminds me, man, I'll change voices with this officer any day, even if it's for money. I have been asked by the Constitutional Commission zone leader to come and hopefully engage in a discussion with the, if I could say so myself, Rear Admiral, you all are the best disciplined, most impressive of the armed forces of our country. Big respect to you. I should say who is the worst, but I better resist that temptation. But really, as a civilian, as somebody with horrific try reach at 9 o'clock, I say, I know the people don't live on spot, don't see it, don't practice the anthem because you all are so disciplined and you are a reminder to people like me. I actually, well, this lady is in a kind of way my neighbor because we live in the so-called ghetto on the south side of Belize City, where indiscipline and not just a lack of respect for authority, but a lot of we people have no respect for life and property. They just shoot people and rob people. Anyhow, I wanted to start off by saying to you, by trying to motivate you, to say that in my humble view, the exercise that is taking place all across the country of Belize to try to motivate and encourage citizens to take part in this once in a lifetime. This is like, there's a comet, I don't think it's probably Haley's comet. I grew up hearing my grandfather talk about Haley's comet. Every 75 years, it passes our planet. And he lived long enough to see it come 2 times. And by the way, we're Admiral and your fabulous deputy. I see your Coast Guards out on the ocean many times because I am from sea family. I'm Bradley by my father, but on my mother's side, I am the Young family, and they were lighthouse keepers at Half Moon Key. When I first come out there, in a big boat, we watch one of the country with them, a lot of rock and coral. So, you know, I see you all the time. I can't hail you because sometimes I didn't have some bad company, and I don't want you all to be associated with that type of people. So I will try to not be boring with a very boring subject. The Constitution of Belize is poorly written. It's written by liars. I did read that in the breast of many a liar is the wreckage of a poet. They can't write the English language so that all of we can understand. They have to go wherefore and therefore, and they said this and so on. And that comes from a tradition that the more words liars write, the more they charge people. And probably that still is big in the profession right now. So I will tell you something about the Constitution, I believe, several things. Hopefully this is not the only time we pass through. Admiral, if you could maybe give some thoughts to some second opportunity by other people, clearly, not me, because I would charge a lot of money if I come back the second time around. But I will go into the Constitution of Belize, give you an idea what is in this very important book, and then hopefully part of that is like, I will try, I can only try, I will try to also give you some ideas of why we need to make change to this document. We don't get this opportunity again. Important changes to the Constitution. The lawyers, they can do that. In the new world we live in, we could just ask AI, give us one better Constitution, and even as we talk, it come out right there out already. So it's not that the lawyers, they can copy off of this one and that one. The purpose of this exercise is for you all to see what you would want to see change, what you don't want come out, what you don't want go in, for this reason, that it's all about making Belize better. That's the whole purpose of the exercise. So let me start at the beginning, which is that our Constitution has 145 sections. It covers 160 odd pages. And there is no way I would have even tried to attempt to bullshit my way around that we go through all of that. That is a lot of sections to cover in the next, hopefully, like 40 or 50 minutes the most. Because some of the fun, all of them are fun by the time we get to that part. The Constitution is the supreme law of our nation. It is supreme for a number of very important reasons. There is no law like the Constitution of Belize. All other laws can't do what this Constitution does. That is why it is the Constitution. Only the Constitution can do this. What is it the Constitution is doing? Well, the Constitution starts off, first of all, at Section 1 and Section 2. Section 1, Belize shall be a sovereign, democratic nation. It's not idle words. Yeah? We are a sovereign nation. No Taiwan, America, China, nobody can tell we what to do. That is part of being sovereign. We work with them, we glad they help we and so, but being sovereign is you are not a flunky nation. You know, always the beg. Being democratic, well, you all know that word, yeah? Democracy, I reminded myself as recent as a couple of days ago, democracy is actually the worst form of government until something better could come along. That's how powerful democracy is. So that starts off the Constitution. Before you get to Section 1, there is a whole page and a half in the Constitution which is referred to as a preamble, which I really just want to tell you very quickly because I don't want to be distracting myself. We could spend a whole session just on the preamble of our Constitution. The preamble is more than a preamble because of how laws are structured, because of how constitutions have grown up. The preamble is now, by judges and other more experienced countries and courts, a preamble is like the core of the Constitution. One of my favorite plants is the coconut tree. We take it for granted. Two favorite plants. You all are surrounded by it. The second one, we Creoles, I'm a Creole, we Creoles, we are the coconut tree and the mango tree. Look on a root, they not even hurricane could root up the roots. And coconut tree, when you do a key, you could cut here, and the tree they way and the root they way here. And I could tell you a story about people who survived by tying themselves onto coconut trees on Half Moon Key. So the Constitution are like that white meat. That thing we turn where we call goings. Man, when you do a key, like all drop coconut together and self split open for you get out the goings. It's an amazing tree. The only thing you can do actually eat the outside of the coconut and the shell. You could eat everything else. They'll find a way for us to eat the leaves one of these days. So the Constitution of Belize is like a coconut, and the preamble is inside of it. That the way spread out and make everything that the why it turn into our next coconut. The preamble is really a statement of the principles of the people who were wrong in 1981. When we finally, you know this more than me, because Belize was to get its independence in the early 1960s along with Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados and the others, but the dictators next door had made it known that as soon as Britain go, they want to take back their country. So we buffo, bow, can't recite, till way down in 1981, finally we got our independence. By then we are unprepared, we're all messed up, everybody want to go to America, the land of milk and honey, and parents are leaving the children behind to look for a better life, and the granny can't handle the children, and then along comes American television. For those of you who are a little on the young side, American television, when that invaded Belize, punto final. Nakedness, drugs, violence, all the things you see happening, a generation of Belizeans grow up to watch that. There are studies that when you are exposed to so much violence, it becomes a part. Just like how you are exposed to being disciplined and being better citizens, and that is what you are. I hope none of you know the beat on a woman, because wife beating should actually be in the Constitution. How dare a man punch a woman or kick her? How dare? I hear you. All right, so the preamble is the principles of the people who wanted certain core beliefs to be a part of their nation and to be reflected and endorsed and supported by the Constitution. One of those things, sinner that I am, I have to tell you, start off that we all want this country and that we all believe in the supremacy of God. No getting around that. No make television and other things make you think like, I don't really believe no. The people of this country, by vast majority, they are Christian people. They are one day Christian, one day a week, Sunday or Saturday, and the rest of the week they're gone again, devil gone with them, but we are a Christian nation. Yeah? And the Constitution says we are to be tolerant of other people and their beliefs. So the preamble, we believe in social justice, we believe in the family, we believe in fairness, we believe in the rule of law, we believe a number of things, and those are reflected in our Constitution. So I told you, number one, the sovereign democrat. I didn't tell you that the second, number two means something else to, so we don't want to get distracted with double meanings of the language. The second section says that the Constitution is the supreme law of this country. And that if any other law is inconsistent with anything in the Constitution, that other law is void. Void. Garbage. Throw it away. So powerful the Constitution is. A lot of time in the past law, then they rush to hurry past law, and so you go to court, void. Just happened with the sugar people, a portion of the law, void. That's how the lawyers they make their money. But I quote and say this. They left them make them pass a law with the big error in there, you know. All right. But the Constitution is also much more than the almighty powerful law of the land. It is the Constitution and only the Constitution which can say, as our Constitution says, like with other democratic countries that have Constitution, it says, there shall be a prime minister, there shall be a cabinet, there shall be a public service, there shall be a legislature, an executive, a judiciary, a DPP, a auditor general, all the key important branches that help to run the country properly, they get their authority from the Constitution. The Constitution is the big boss in this country, not the Prime Minister, not the Cabinet. They must follow the Constitution of the land. If they are caught violating the Constitution, they're in big trouble. The Constitution is the boss. No Governor General, no King Charles, no nobody. In this country, we are democratic. We elect our leaders, and when we are unhappy with them, we unelect them. Or to use a more colorful term, we kick their butt out. Yes? So the Constitution is the only law that can say those things. There shall be judges. How they are appointed and how they are put out of their job when they start to do fool. I understand, and this is like a kind of joke, but sometimes people misunderstand, you know. We no longer refer to the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, and they call it the High Court. Recent change some months ago. Well, I hope they're not high when they listen to the cases. Then comes chapter 2. Chapter 2 for me, as a citizen of Belize, oh man, in fact, all of we love chapter 2. Why? Because chapter 2 is the one which lays down and protects all our fundamental rights and freedoms. That big, don't take that for granted. So, all right, by the way, it grievous to me because I don't know Richard Bradley. No care how I try to explain that. I don't know Richard Bradley. My bank account going at Dickie Bradley. My ID for vote, my whatever. I have a son when he Richard Bradley and a liar. When they win the case, the media give me the credit. So I say I could give me somebody money too. But if you have a copy of this booklet here, produced by the people in the commission, if you look at page number 8, page 8 will help me so that I'm not up here very long. Page 8 is chapter 2 of the Constitution of Belize. And I should call on one of the better readers in the front of the group for read section 3, but I will quickly read it because of time. Yeah? If you look at the top of page 8, you will see it says, section 3 makes it clear what the other sections of the Constitution put in more details. So I'm reading for you, quotation. Every person in a Belize is entitled, have a right to the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, which is to say, regardless of your race, your place of origin, your political opinions, your color, your creed, your sex, and of course subject to the rights of other people. Those are your fundamental rights and freedoms, which are then listed one by one from section 3 downwards, and I'll read them out for you. But I want to quickly say, in our country, a culture is taking root, which you all as citizens of the country, and some of the best citizens are in uniform here, you all know that this can't be proper, that you get a piece of land in Belize City, they can't give you land. All the land is taken up by the rich and powerful. You get a piece of swamp. If you struggle, I know the Rear Admiral, they try to get and raise for in the next budget. If you struggle, especially if you got 2 girls, then sweetheart thing costly. Take it from Denfield, he know. Well, he got idea. You get a piece of land, government change, because you get it on one going, then the government take away land. It's unlawful, it is immoral, it is unconstitutional. They don't even know if you're really from one party or the next. Long as you don't be the other, they shout for them whatever than a slogan, they take away your land just like that. It is wrong and illegal. People need to know your political opinion is just as important as the religion you want to believe or not believe in. Just as important as whether you're black like a Zulu out of Africa, or you're white like a white man out of the snow-capped mountains. No play no role. The law not interested in your color, your creed, even your sex. Because when I made grow up, I may always understand sex, a man and a woman. One have one tele and the next one have one ex-private. All of a sudden, you got a lot of different people that claim different things. I'm sure among you all, you have some people who are having to struggle with their sexual gender, no? The world is just changing on us, yeah? So your political opinions are an important right that you must protect. And you must encourage people when they take when they learn and take when they scholarship and refuse to help them when at least start a house because of their political views. You encourage them to go up on the media and expose who they do anything to our people, yeah? Time for we start to stand up. It's not good enough that you're out there fighting against the cartels and they bring in the bill. And I must tell you, I was joking with Denfield. He wants to go on one of them. I have an hypocrite for both. And in fact, I think one of the see me out the sea the other day. But the cocaine you look for? Like, what? I don't want to say I pray to God that, you know, a whole bill, they get greedy and wow, a bill, right? But I settle for some white snapper. I settle for that. So, when you go there, say anything look white, you take the boat and go to starboard. I'll tell you this joke. A friend in Dangriga and gone out in a boat for go fish. They are genuine fishermen also. So they say a plane pass and they pay no attention, but after a while they say the plane pass back and they turn right around and go back at Dangriga. That have to be drugs. I want no part of that. If you don't find anything, you don't call me. Do not know to the way. Well, then feel better, yeah? All right, yes, keep yourself out and get rich sudden. Here, what goes up will come back down. Section 3 onwards lists down the individual rights you have. So it is so important that I will come here, a big man over 18, and read for you like a day in a school. You have the right to your life. It's clearly the most important right. If you don't have your life, you don't have nothing. Adios, amigo. You have a right to your freedom, to your liberty, which I will tell you right now, we are disappointed in some of the judges at the Supreme Court because they take people's liberty lightly. But we'll go no further than that. You are entitled to the protection of the law. Every one of you, to every law where exists. The rule of law in our nation is that everybody is equal in the sight of the law and must be treated equally. That's why I don't have no card or so, but some lawyers, most of them card have on lady just this. She take off a brassiere and type on the eye. You don't want to see nobody. She's not interested in who you. He's only looking at the legal issue to see who is right and who is wrong. Anytime you see that blindfold, justice is blind because they're not interested in who confronted him. Mr. Ashcroft, they do a project the wrong way in violation of the law. You and your millions back up and move out. The law is no respecter of persons. In our country, nobody can say, boy, the man pay up the judge, that's why the judge did that. We don't reach that yet. And we don't want to reach that, yeah? So you remember that you are entitled to rights. Nobody, they give it to you. When you put on the Coast Guard uniform, it's a different ball game. You agree to restrain some of your rights. You can't do like me, I could talk anything. You can't talk anything. Yeah, you can't call in for the morning show and say, late last night while we were patrol, we came across some white snapper in the vicinity of Boca del Rio. And the amount that they took to the base is not the same amount that was found. So people restrict their rights because they decide to do that. Yeah? You have to have freedom of movement. Anybody could jump in any boat, any bus, and go anywhere they want in this country. Nobody can stop and say, but you're from Corozal, where did you do? No. We are free to move any way we want to go. We are free to exercise our conscience. You know how much people I meet that don't have no conscience? I think they're not sure that there's a word like conscience. You have a conscience, don't get confused. You have a God and have a conscience. No, you can't see your mind. You can maybe see the brain, but you can't see your mind. But don't you have a mind? Isn't it always thinking about these fabulous girls or diva-looking bodies and so? And of course, ladies, you think about a lot of these gentlemen who exercise regularly and drink nutritious matter. Man a yard and monster. The important thing about Chapter 2 of our Constitution is that when you actually see the book itself, it says protection of your right to life, protection of your liberty. Every one of your rights, the Constitution used the word protection. You know, I'm going to say this, it's simple and you all know, but I still need to say that. The Constitution of Belize is not giving you none of these 19 rights, you know. The Constitution of Belize can't give you that. You have that, you born with that. Human beings are not mango tree, you have rights because you are human beings. And these are nothing new. These concepts and ideas have been around for, I think, before Moses was put in the river to float across to get on different destiny. The right that human beings, that's what he was fighting for. He saw his people as slaves in Egypt. And he thought, like, that's not what God wants for human beings, man. So the Constitution is only saying, I will protect your rights, all your rights. Your right to freedom of expression, which is what I'm doing right here. Somebody, one I want to get a money from a special branch to record and report back what I'm saying. But I have a right to say what I want to say. I'm not defaming nobody. I know they call nobody, you know, at least not yet. I don't know if it's there yet. But I can express myself freely in my country. That is my constitutional, God-given right. I can't wrong to defame people. That's a different matter. You are entitled to your reputation and your character and your privacy. So I can't abuse my right, whichever it is, to end up they infringe or violate your rights. Yeah? So freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble and associate. Don't take these things for granted. In another country, they are fighting for one or two of these things, which we take for granted. You could join any political party you want. You could not join none of them. That is your right. You could form a trade union. I don't know if I don't think you all are essential, so you can't form a trade union, but you make that decision not to be a part of a union when you become a part of the nation's security apparatus. But all the rest of you could join a union, form a union. The boss and all like it. So, you have to look out for yourself. If you left today, then if sweetheart there in Miami, they live good and we still up on the same salary, you know. This is how bosses behave. That's why they're not the boss. They are mean and cold-hearted and chancy. That's why they become the boss. If you want to be rich, you've got to be a bitch. It's a terrible thing. Everybody wants to be rich or die trying. That's the movie that they have out. Show me the money. You have a right to your privacy. You have a right to work. You are protected from discrimination. They can't treat you different the way they treat anybody else. Can't discriminate, my boy. Can't discriminate against a group of people. Can't discriminate against individuals. Can't discriminate against anybody. You know that the program our mind to make we feel like somehow or other our Maya brothers and sisters, they kind of go too far down south. When we coffee, we're not got no land. We're not got no land, you know. Man, our great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers were slaves. When slavery ended and passed on law that they don't have no land, and we still don't got no land. What the heck is that? Listen, the Mayas get almost 1 million acres of Toledo. Jah be praised. Finally, they are treated the worst in this country. They only recently get pavement to the villages. In all the villages, at least into the district. They're the worst treated people. They're not come. And that we Creole, you see we Creole, we just brainwash the wrong way. When black man look at next black man and call him Kerubi. And Kerubi, you take it, so you turn and say, you're you're crufty. And then we have yellow belly panya, we have coolie the dog, you know. A coolie is a dog, but us artificial intelligence or us Google, that brainwashing we catch we. Until a leader come along and say, we are all one people, we are Belizean. Your color, your creed, your ethnicity don't mean nothing. It shouldn't mean nothing. It's protected by the Constitution. Yeah? All know that Creole yeah? You look so impressive in a uniform. You are nothing if you're not got a piece of land. You want to have picnic, you get a piece of land. You do what the Chinese and do. You don't see them, but they do it. They up and down till they get what they want. You never see them with an help and a vehicle land to drive. But everybody they drive an SUV. One or two times when I pass, I can't go close no shooting. Wait, but other people I swear, all China they practice to shoot. All of them got gun. The only gun someone who want to handle the Coast Guard gun and can't even get a license for protecting themselves. So I'm saying those things and I'm trying to keep your attention, but chapter 2 in the Constitution of our nation is a fabulous piece of protection of fundamental rights and freedoms. And don't you take your rights and freedoms for granted. Yeah? Now I need to tell you another thing. Make it 2. Make it 3. The first one is Section 20 of the Constitution of Belize, which nobody knows about. Yeah, I get up the man off a murder trial just last year. I could walk happy, man. Should I see how when you go in the court? The Section 20 says, if anybody is violating, breaching, interfering with your rights, all those rights from 3 to 19, anybody that interfere, violate that, you can go to the Supreme Court, the High Court, where they are high and waiting for you. You can get justice in the High Court of the country when they violate your rights. If the Coast Guard commandant and anybody high up they violate your rights, you can go to the court and get justice. Justice for these matters mean normally 99% you're going to get money. Yes. The rest of my short life in this country, every chance I get, I want to tell them for people, anytime police box you, get some money. Anytime they carry down to the station and want to give one 48 hours, get some money. So Section 20 gives you the right. And listen to how far it goes. If your right was violated, it don't happen. You can still take them to the court. Come on, man, that's not easy, man. And then, ending. You say the pit never bend, the story will never end. If they plan to violate any of your rights, if they intend to mess with you and your rights, you can still go to the High Court and get money. It's a fabulous piece of document. Listen, no one and nobody no teach you the Constitution. That's why we don't know. The worst sin in the world is ignorance. So the great King Solomon, who I hopefully get a chance to tell you something about him, he a man like him, love lady man, and he love her back. That's a good thing. So let me throw this out for you. You have not heard me say anything about, well, what about a piece of land? The Constitution gives me a right to get a piece of land in my country. I'm a Coast Guard. When I sail out there, nobody knows where I meet. And I will tell you one thing, I can't tell you a lot of things. They bury the cocaine on some of the islands. They come in, bury, carry the boat way out here. And they used to left the boat. How much time as liar, get 40-footer? Nothing in there, no seat, no nothing. The boat empty. 3 big, powerful engines. Well, the cartel cut that out because the Americans start to check what part of the boat. The bill where the engine come from, kind of fingerprinting on the boat. So, my point is, you don't know what will happen when you go to sea. Huh? Because Belize is part of the transit point for one of the greatest products that I don't understand it. They don't have no God in America. That is why holding people. Listen, if they're not getting cocaine from Friday and Saturday, ras make, People want to jump out on it when the story believe. When they call up there, they say, how you stand and lead by 3 bags for tonight and with some fresh babes and just say, oh, we run out. They can't stop Americans from cocaine. In 1973, a young man, Richard Nixon, declared war against the drug trade. Just like Vietnam, just like Iraq. I know I don't like anything here, but just like Iran, they lose the war. The generals, they hide. They have to, because Russia got one thing, they hypersonic. America no got no missile. Google hypersonic. So my point to you is, I've said nothing to you that you have a right to a land. Excuse me, don't you want that the Constitution say that my people have a right to a piece of land? I come here to make you try to think. How much time on not here? People go to hospital and get the correct attention. We are suing right now one of their employees, a ward maid, have diabetes, bad. She's a big, strapping woman. I didn't ask her, but a woman like that could maybe produce like between 11 and 13 children. She's powerful. They admit her, she works there, Listen, they cut off the wrong toe. No easy thing that, my boy. It's an easy thing, man. A big woman. Guess what? She still have to go cut off the diabetic toe still yet. Why when you pour that one? Poorness are like a sin, man. Man, we only go down to the hospital because, well, you hear we need hospital, what we expect. So I tell you that story to tell you this. Don't you think you should have the right to like basic health care and could get medication when you need it? And it's not expired injection and expired pills? People that we said, they take this pill so long and feel no better. How you better? The pills don't expire. We deserve better than this enough for we countrymen. How much time I've not told the Prime Minister why they don't utilize the 2 uniformed officers sitting at the head table? They put them in a hospital in 6 months, everybody ship sharp. We need discipline in the country. We need people who are honest. Some of them get big $1 million contract for buy medicine and then go buy expired medicine from China and from India. Man, it's chancey. And they buy the minimum. On 3 bucks a thing come in, they don't collect $700,000 already. It's a real, I don't want to I'm off of the sheet, so you are please forgive me when one B word and one R word slip out. The F1 that not slip out, I'm going to say that to spite. All right, so I'm trying to say to you, not because the Constitution said these things, that is the end of it. Are there not other rights that we think, like, it's about time I have a right to a piece of land? It's about time I have a right to a good education, that I could go high school, 6th form? And so what, you be? Don't I watch how they waste up millions and millions of dollars every year on a lot of foolishness? Why you can't send my picnic to high school? Because I can't afford it on the salary you're paying me. Why my child doesn't have a right to a very good education? Man, I'm helping a family yesterday. I come from the rural areas. I just want to tell you this. I'm shocked. The primary school at the top, no, They bill them nearly $300 for the basic thing. They have to get toilet paper, they have to get sanitizer. Like, man, how is it that our poor people suffer like this? That two of them in a different class, each of them have to get one pack of toilet paper, one bottle of sanitizer, so much, they don't call it exercise book like in my days, and another word where they, the things that poor people have to buy. Education more expensive than primary school than when it was free. It's ridiculous, you know. When you scratch that thing and scratch that thing, there's somebody that make money off and a lot of things where they sell. Don't think they paper and a book and a school bag. Why are we buying school bag in a Belize, people? We can't sew school bag, man. We got 1,200 man that sit down in the prison. Want something to do? They're tired of the masturbate. They want to do something more productive. Guinea. Oh, excuse me, I think prisoners don't have sexual feelings because they're in prison. You want to make them behave themselves? In civilized societies, you know what they do? They have a couple of mobile homes in the yard, but you can't get it in the yard because everybody are there and they sell it. Look out, boy, John, go get some. What in civilized society you put a man in jail for 10, 15, 20 years? Excuse me? Men. Anyhow, so, a right to land, a right to education, a right to good quality health care. Why we can't have that thing there? Let me give you the bad news. There is nothing in the Constitution of Belize. Remember, not God wrote it, the Belizean people and some British people wrote the Constitution. You don't have a constitutional right to vote. Please. Whatever number, Mr. Glenfield is a trained liar, but he's a government liar, so, you know, you can't, don't let them see you on the tape, they clap when I say something against government. But share with the commission, yes, we want the right to vote in our constitution. How that not be a constitutional right? Now I understand, you know, me a big grown man, we gone to law school long time. Why they don't teach the Constitution to people? It's going to open your eyes. You don't have a constitutional right to vote. You must have a constitutional right to vote. There's another one, but I know I'm getting at the matters where the lawyers are interested in. Then go battling, then go paddling one canoe. I want to say to you, finally, before I come off of chapter 2, I spend all the time, I spend that kind of time on no other chapter, you know, this are like, I want to say to you, seriously, and I say this to Glenfield Dennison and to Miss Maria Zabani, who are big part of the commission that is going around trying to get ideas. We need in the Constitution of Belize a section right after chapter 2, don't tell me all the wonderful rights we have. We need a section that says, any attempt, any effort, any intention to try and weaken our fundamental rights and freedoms must first be taken to the people of Belize in a referendum. Don't mess with our rights. Yeah? The world is not getting better. The world is not getting better. We have to look out for ourselves. That's how it is. All right, there are other things I can say to you, but I let it pass. Chapter 3 of the Constitution of Belize, if I'm not wrong, then Phil will correct me, deals with the Governor General. I used to teach a number of classes, and when they bring up Governor General thing, I like to tell them, like, well, this is the previous Governor General, Queen Elizabeth. Well, the Queen of England, as far as Belize is concerned, is just like the Queen of the Bay. You know, got no power. Don't make them big time title confuse us. The Governor General, whether they are male or female, is a representative of the head of state of Britain. Queen Elizabeth has passed, and look at the situation. For she son of one domain, you know that, right? Him become the king of England and Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Because what look confidence system? One man could turn king because the madam and queen. So the king of Great Britain, they are no longer great. Thank goodness they were slave masters and colonial masters. The king of that country is the king of our country. What a shameful, disgraceful thing. But Belize people don't knock out themselves over that because the king don't have no power. The king don't know, no, and not a one and only don't know the king. The only man in Vita is your rear admiral. A time will come when he will not be our king. I promise you that, but I don't come here afraid. You mess with your mind. So the Governor General is the representative of the head of state. Let us be clear about one thing with this matter. The head of state is not the head of government in our constitution and our country. Yeah? People out there hear them talk, and so they are a little confused. I don't know why the Governor General don't stop the law. Governor General can't stop no law. See the Queen of the Bay? The head of state is the Prime Minister of Belize, who you are, those who take part in election. You vote for a political party or a candidate in a division. When all the votes and the constituencies are counted, the one party will get the majority out of 31 seats. That party becomes the government. The leader of that party is the Prime Minister. That's the law and the Constitution. Not the head of state. Section 34. 34 of the Constitution says the Governor General shall carry out the advice and instructions from the Prime Minister and the Ministers of Government. Yeah? When you hear the person is appointed by the Governor General and the Vice of the Prime Minister, if the Prime Minister tells her you have to appoint Admiral Boland because of his qualifications and his ability, she don't have no choice in the matter. All right, so I'll not make a big fuss over the Governor General thing. Yeah? A time will come you will get a chance to know, do you want a president and not a monarch? And if you want a president, should it be a ceremonial president, where he goes and inspects you all when you're on parade, where he does certain things and salute and so, but not have no power? Do you want to have a Belizean with that situation, or you want to have, well, it won't fit in our system, yeah? So, but there are ceremonial presidents and there are executive presidents. People in Belize are frightened by executive president because we have a long history and know what happened in Guatemala and Salvador and Honduras, all the suffering countries there where the president is the king. So, the other thing in the Constitution is citizenship. Actually, it comes before the Governor General thing. Citizenship, straightforward, members of the National Coast Guard. If you born in Belize, you are a Belizean, and they can't take that away from you. If your mom or your dad or both are Belizeans, you're a Belizean. You're picnic, and I think only Belizean could be Coast Guard. I hope no Guatemalans or the they set me up, they set me up. I have the greatest confidence in the Rear Admiral, so I know there's no Guatemalans here. If there is one, because we don't Belizeanize them completely. We don't breed and don't get picnic with barn for fellow Coast Guard, of course. So, straightforward, you're a Belizean. If you are living in our country 5 years continuously, you are entitled, you are eligible, you're not entitled, you're eligible to be a citizen of the country. Yeah? And if you are very lucky and you marry a Belizean, you are also eligible to become a Belizean. Yeah? And I could tell you a lot of stories about that, how the Chinese, they used to pay $3,500. All kind of crockett, go and go get married. $3,500 to marry a Chinese. Then they don't fully understand that just for you say, I do. And once you say, I do, well, then you don't, because you don't get no sex. This is not that kind of marriage. This is strictly business. But the Chinese, they want to be Belizeans. That is the corruption in immigration. They can't stop that. You know, the money too big, they like cocaine. Then they charge $25,000 just to make help them get a visa for come here, and then they pay it. It's an amazing thing right in front of all the way. You know, you look and see, but how Jing Hong Hong look like Zhang Hong Du? And people, I think Zhang Hong Du tell me he going back to China or he going to States or something. You can't then take off one picture and put on the next picture on the paper. You know, and people, they just, when white people were living and wear animal skin, they don't even make cloth yet. The Chinese was a great civilization. Yeah? They want, you know, white people want to propaganda in our mind that only white people are the thing. They're not going to say, you know. In fact, the other day, they do the thief up the black man and sang he turn rapper in a hip hop. A big white man, and how you gotta be hip hop and gangster rap? He live in a good house, he raise up good. So citizenship easy. Governor General, no problem. The problem in the country is that the most powerful institutions, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, then they fall down on the job. That is our problem. Yeah? Then they fall down big time. Who knows? Maybe. Well, let me not come here and say these things, but I was going to tell you a little bit about Niger, then, yeah? Let me not go there. Yeah? Let me tell you very quickly, and I will finish. And then tell Mr. Glenfield, we want this in our Constitution, we want this, we want this. Yeah? All right. The Constitution set up the executive execute. They execute the laws. They carry out the policies. They manage the government. They prepare the budget and send it over. Then do the day-to-day running of the country. We call them ministers, and we are so stupid, we actually call them honorable. Don't call anybody no honorable, because they are not. They are politicians. They have thicker skin than me. One time I think I could be a politician, but boy, thin skin. Listen, no one thing cover everybody. Here, if I tell you about the politicians and corrupt, so they're not all of them corrupt. Or they're not all of them get corrupted yet. Yeah? You know, I was talking just this morning, that's why I nearly get late. Because somebody, they tell me, money. He said, no, he said, the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, listen to me. The lack of money is the root of all evil. Yeah. So you have the executive made up of the politicians. They put in that thing, we call him minister. Can you imagine that? I go up, Peter's call for we bishop and for we father at St. John's Church. That are the minister. They call themselves minister too. Make you think like, boy, they're on a high level, they're a minister. No less than a minister, they're an honorable. The white man take one or two and turn them into right honorable, like if you could go wrong honorable. Like, where you go? Then the legislature, that's straightforward. You all know this because what they do is they legislate. They pass laws. Only the legislature can pass laws. Laws are passed in two other ways. They just went and take on a statutory instrument because the main law says that your commandant can make rules and regulations governing you, the use of the boats and things like that. And then when the judge makes a pronouncement on an important legal issue, that becomes the law. So they legislate. They also do one other, they do one other thing, yes. They approve the annual budget. Very crucial, my brothers and my sisters in the Coast Guard. They approve the budget. Now you know, good thing I did tell you about the lack of money is the root of all evil, because without money, you can't have the Coast Guard. Okay, well, America help us with boats, and so there are still things we have to find money for. So Glenfield have right by computer the recurrent budget for the Coast Guard. Recurrent budget means this is what we the taxpayers pay you for your salary, your overtime, and I hope I'm going to get a lot of overtime. What? One of the look on the Admiral. No, man. Listen. This is how you get the extra, and then you go out and like hours and so you take your time all day and don't rush and rush. You get overtime. That well, how much is the figure in the field? Listen to the overtime advocates to the back. 13? Okay, the present budget right now for you guys, recurrent. Recurrent is only you buy fuel, you pay you get your overtime, you get a meal, you get different things every year. You don't get no meal neither? Every year that happens. $13 million. Each year. That is just recurring. That is not capital. If you want to make an extension, that is a capital expenditure. If you need a submarine, that's capital expenditure. Like the BDF, if you need car, understand, they buy the helicopter on eBay. If you need a helicopter, well, no, they got the one that could land on the sea. But at the man, they got a plane that could land on the sea. One of the drop off, you don't know when they can't plane land on the sea, they're not a seaplane. All right, so the legislature approves the annual budget. I'm going to share with you quickly because I'm coming to an end. Bear with me, please. I know I'll collect if I don't get to the end. There are two things which is wrong with our system. My brothers and sisters, there are two serious things that are wrong with the system. Where we need to find a way with the Constitution. I never know the I don't collect for this book, and then if you don't get $100, I sit down and write out a lot of things I don't collect yet. The lack of money that already catch me. Listen to this. The executive branch of government is out of control. I will let each and every one of you in there. I have seen my country. There's a guy, one of my favorite authors, wrote a book called A Tale of Two Cities, where we have a tale of two people in one city. The executive is out of control. Ministers are too powerful. We need to find a way so that they can do what they do. They approve. They call it approve. They approve or get. Maybe they get the legislator afterwards to agree. They approved for themselves $25,000 a month to assist poor people in their constituencies. $25,000 a month. Each one of them. Guess what they do? They land this from, well, I don't call no name, but they make sure the opposition get 25 too, because that's why you don't hear nothing about it. If they never get the opposition, wow. It's like, you'll be like, oh my God. Every one of the elected here representatives get $25,000 a month. Now, I don't crawl and we can't help ourselves. We don't think negative. They must not spend nothing more than like only 5 for them poor people. Man, say I'm 50 years. Not come back till 2 months or so. $25,000 a month. Each 31 people they collect 20. This is not pay or overtime or they got kind of allowance, you know. They got security allowance they can put on camera outside of the house. No screen or something there inside but the camera, security allowance. When they use their own vehicle allowance. When they go to Belopan, traveling and mileage allowance. Then go to a restaurant, they just sign and thing, and the government pay. And they eat when they come out, they very big, calling. Eat plenty. Everything. The ministers are out of control, people. And we have to start to think how we could control them people here. They just do what they want for we money, you know. This is a very, very serious matter, man. 68% of our people are living in poverty. Tomorrow morning, you must gather around and pick them and know where they are getting dinner from for the baby. You know people selling anybody in Belize City, you don't must know that. I'm sure they say handsome boy, you know, like feeling kind of way like right now. People is selling anybody and they're desperate. What bigger desperation than that? A young, strong girl. You come here right now and wash down all the boat thing. A woman and make sure you pick me eat, you know. We can't live in a country where there is 68% poverty. And then our ministers, they splash about the money and they splurge about the money. And they approve this and approve this. They start a new fool. And I see one bicycle race to come up or one football or a basketball game, sponsored by the Honorable, I wish I could have called the name, sponsored by the Honorable sponsor. And look, another Honorable sponsor, they're not for their money, you know. Then they big up for themselves, like then they help sports, and then they help no sports. They just want a name go down, just make sure I put my name on the list of people who they sponsor. You have diamond sponsor and gold, put me down for gold then. They're not for their money, you know. And, you know, I want to emphasize this and I'm going to finish. I want to tell you something. That, I don't know if I saw said it plain. Feel I'm talk about Portico, I shouldn't bring up Portico. You see? The people demand it. They insist. I want to tell you, and this is not in the Constitution, this is not a part of the People's Constitutional Commission views. In fact, maybe what they should do, the next time they try to pay me to go talk anyway, I want to be speaking to the Coast Guard as the last time I talk on this matter. They will soon call and say, who they talk? No make the kid talk. I always bring up things against the ministers. You know, one time I may be a minister of religion, you know, laugh though. I work in a mysterious way. Save me from getting all that temptation, all the problem. God, a wonderful God. My parents wanted me to be they don't want me to be no liar. I don't know what that. They want I got on a different gown. Yes, my child, and so on. I'm going to tell you something because it is relevant and it will help you to try and follow where I'm coming from. The other day, we all find out that a former minister signed, they can't even spell definitive, no A in the word, they can't definitive, there's no word like that. Not even Google could find that word for you. He signed a definitive contract with big millionaire investors that want to come and have another, you know, I should say another place where cocaine and commune, but I can't say that because that is defaming the people. That's not true. Anyhow, they want to have another cruise terminal down the road right here, man, down the sea. You know, my grandfather said that whoever picked this spot for the Coast Guard and picked the worst spot because always got a show. They don't know about the current and wind and waves. It's a mysterious thing, you know. And one time the boss gave a chance to borrow the boat for Kerry and a girl on a place named Miami Beach, right side of St. George's Keys, 10 miles from here. You all know that little opening between Frenchman Key and Montego Key? Well, the hurricane Lisa threw up a hole like 50 feet of sand, white sand. When you could go there and take all kind of pictures and selfie and post it up on Facebook. We're in Miami Beach. Because they call it Miami Beach. You know all the quick with the cocaine boat pass you and chew and go through and come in the next one? You know that one there? No answer because me no look for snapper. I want to tell you this and I'll finish now. A minister of government, while he was a minister of government the other day, signed a contract with millionaires who are coming to invest in the country, condemning us, the people of this country, spitting in the face of the poor people, that the government will not charge that company, Portico, will not charge that company any taxes for 30 long years. You could imagine, these are the owners of cruise ships, you know, these floating hotels that carry 3,000-4,000 people, and then the holla say, they're tired of these small ones, they want bigger things to carry bigger amounts, which brings a big security problem for you, as your boss knows. One of these days, those countries where they bomb and blow up and they go occupy and take over their country, and they will find a way down in this area. You remember what I had to tell you, they blow up some of them people in them big floating hotels. America better stop chance people. So, let me tell you this. Millionaires will not be required to pay No tax, none. Not income tax, not business tax, not GST, not EST, no kind of T. Even environmental tax where everybody must pay. Everybody who they throw plastic around the place and they buy things in a plastic where they help make. Why you think we so warm? We're in front of the sea and look how warm we warm. You know, like, water than a warm there. No, you know, the white tribes around the earth and so then got the atmosphere and everything messed up. And the ball and holler say the tap water when they drink the states, the amount of chemicals where they don't drink no tap water. Drink Boland's fresh nutritional water. So, the story nearly finished, bear with me. A minister, and this was only because it's come to our attention because things gone wrong. This is what they're doing to us people. Listen, man, let's be real. Come on, let me tell you something. The cruise ships, they want to come here. We are the people who are blessed with this fabulous country. We talk English, we talk Spanish, we talk Chinese, we talk Hindi, we talk German. All the languages and all the peoples on the earth, they live right here in Belize. And another thing for all of you who are Creoles. We're not Creole on no land, man. We're no land. Listen, look at the Mennonites. When they came here, they chopped down bush. Look at the Mennonites. They reach a high levels. America never even know that when they land one plane, they dig out a big hole here, they go and haul it and cover it over. Mighty American, they got all kind of satellite, all kind of infrared, all kind of, but they got a big one, they got like one dish on top of it, where they want to need. Man, I just got in truck, man, just haul the plane in there and throw my net over and the plant can by 6 o'clock in the morning, the can is done there. That's at the levels where, I'm not saying that I want some, I want to get some money off of cocaine, of course, but I don't want to get that kind of dirty money, because, but these people have banded together, they work with one another, they network and help one another. When I was going to primary school, one of the many things you learn is like, oh, Belize don't have no gold mine, oh, we don't have no diamond mine, we got bad mine. Man. And guess what? That's true. So, let me tell you this first of all, and then I will finish with the second part. These cruise ships want to come here. This is where it's at. 395 for come here. And they want to come, nothing will stop it here, because that's how money go. My point to you is, why are we going to give anybody 20 years tax concession? They should pay us to want to come and use our waters and want to come and look at our zoo and so. I could tell you a story about the baboon, but I'm up here too long. I just make you know that the baboon, they don't walk across on the rope, across the sheet anymore down when you pass Muscle Creek, you know. You don't do that. You have to say at least 3 or 4 big tourist buses. Then leave 20 seats and so, okay, how they come out and baboon. They're smarter than we. when the tourists say, cute little baboon, cute little monkey, and put the little thing and so. You tell the girl, no come out to the baby, keep on right there. No, when 3 big boys haul up on food and things around, so everybody they swing on their tail and everything. I want to thank you for being so patient with me, and I want to tell you, and Rear Admiral, I want to also thank you for taking a big chance of being somebody like me on the base, because but you all are the best, yeah? You are the best of the best in our country. We really respect what happened. All right? I told my cousin, and I will tell you, Mr. Ely, he and I have a small piece of, I don't want to say it's an island, because when tide high, I see the water over it. So, but how much time I tell him, call the Coast Guard, because he sees, and I talk about no drugs, thing like that. But these guys who go out and rob the fishermen there and take their stuff and whatnot, the only way they look fine, because by the time anybody else come, all don't happen. So thank you very much for listening to me the last couple of minutes. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley, for imparting your diverse knowledge on the Constitution of Belize. At this time, we take a short 10-minute intermission where Mr. Dennison will take up the question and answer session. There are snacks available, so feel free. During this time, please ensure that you fill the surveys.
Very good presentation. Thanks for keeping the attention. It doesn't make it very relevant to what we do, putting their mindset.
Something like that.
No, we don't.
Yeah, I had,
Our deployment is 3 weeks out at sea. Morning, Bob. Paul, look it up.
No, I'm directly.
There you go.
On this case, you have to go around.
You are invited guests. We're inviting guests to come.
Come out, I see that.
That's
Yes,
right.
and start to the bus, going other around. Community vote. The audit situation kind of weak. Then I get on the other years. Hello? Yeah, the proper. Yeah. You already put that on the start?
Right after the start, I joined
You came from one or the other?
BDF as well.
Okay. BDF was good. You know what they did? They live stream what was happening.
BDF, the same thing.
Oh, they did the same thing?
Yeah, that's why the media shows.
Oh, they sparked that, no?
Yeah, because we like stream it as well.
Lock the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Always miss the boat. You want to take a well, I have to get permission. Yes. When you start looking at permission right away, you get your vagina approved too.
They said that because it's an yesterday for our service.
That's what I mean.
That's our planning deadline. So how we are doing? Is that something you want to take?
Yes. I think that be nice to do. Oh, you want to just write us up?
All right.
that he's a public official, so he participates.
Please begin to be seated as we continue with Mr. Dennison's question and answer session.
That good man. Sure, not sell it over there. That's the extra one there. Yeah.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, let us settle down. We will start the session shortly.
Morning, everyone. Thank you. Like I said earlier, this part of the session is the most important part. This is the reason we are all here today. Try to block somebody else these are the most part. These are the most important part. The difference with this part is session where we also be taking notes. We just finished just the clarity that this policy for the service part. Your comments are anonymous as it relates to the PCC. We are recording the session and we will wait we do not get the minutes here. Usually we lock in the minutes and clarify questions. But none of your names will be used in the report. This is anonymity here. Anonymous type system is anonymity here. So it's really important that you tell us what your views are. I ask that you use the mic because of the recording, right? So anybody have any burning issues, questions, concerns that you try to feel like as it relates to the constitution? We want to hear from everybody, so I want to be mindful that other people may have other issues, questions, or concerns. So I ask that you try to make your questions concise, your comments concise, just to think about your other members, right? Now, after we get through that, if you want the mic again, call like everybody else shy, you grab the mic again and you lick shot. Everybody clear on that protocol, or I confuse the thing more? All right, good. So the mic is up at the front. Anybody wishes to come with the start now? All right, Mr. Abu could go. Then done. Are done? Who want to be the brave officer? Start to. All right, we can start the discussion then. Since I'm afraid for start. We last week we went to the military, the BDF, and I will say even though their brigadier was there, the event went very smooth. Remember, we're here to discuss the Constitution. While an important pillar of it, while in fact you are a little restrained as members of the Coast Guard, we are having you here firstly as citizens of Belize, right? So I hope they're not charging me for treason for this, but while you are here in your capacity as Coast Guard, you're to wear uniform, we want to hear from you as a citizen of Belize. So just not be disrespectful to the government, but just make your issues be heard. You have freedom of expression as citizens of Belize. In fact, not only the citizens of Belize enjoy freedom of expression in this country, Americans could come here, foreigners could come here. Once you are within this jurisdiction, you have freedom of expression. So I want to encourage you to exercise that freedom that's protected under the Constitution. Remember, not given under the Constitution, protected under the Constitution, to let us have a frank discussion. So, starting off with a lead example, right? The Coast Guard, I believe, is under the Security Services Commission. Yes or no? All right, so that is an aspect of the Constitution. So if you think anybody here, maybe, I'm not sure rank in a Coast Guard, but if anybody at the top have any comments about the formulation of the commission, if it's working for you guys, your promotional system, if you feel in other work for you, then we can discuss, then you would want to discuss the Security Services Commission, and maybe we need to just ask that it be strengthened in a certain way, that maybe you feel the appointment procedure for the members on the commission needs to be rethought. Those are the type of issues that come off at the top of my head for the Coast Guard. Everybody feel that they work good? Yes or no? Anybody know how it work? Say, go help me with the ranks. I want the officers there and the people in the top. But then they come show me then, Carl Leon. And then up front? Then up front. Good.
So one of my major questions is, since we're revising the Constitution to make changes, and we're asking questions from the citizens of Belize to make changes, what intrigued the government of Belize to make those changes? The second part of that question is, if we make changes, what changes are we looking at in the Constitution apart from the consultation that we're doing with the people of Belize? Because I know that perhaps the government of Belize already has some things that they have in mind to change, whether we vote for it, whether we ask for it, or whether we don't ask for it.
That's a very important, those are two very powerful statements that you've made. The first one, I can only give you context because I am not government, so I can't tell you what the government was thinking. But as a part of the formulation of the PCC, I can give you some context. So what was happening and what I have noted happens whenever a government changes, and there are facts, right? I know every time a government changes and we have a supermajority government, the government that comes into power, like almost on a dime, like says, we are changing the Constitution. This is how we are changing it. All the administrations have done it. It's not a secret, it's a fact. And I have to defend myself when I talk about the government, right? And I can open the Constitution and record that there are constitutional changes that come hand in hand with our election, right? So what happened there is that the last change of government, there were 2 constitutional amendments proposed. And the formulation of our Senate right now is that we have 13 senators, 6 are appointed by the Prime Minister, the leader of the party who's in power, 3 by the opposition, and 4 by the social partners. So right now, the Senate has a majority if the opposition and the social partners come together. That is a very good part of our democracy in our legislature, the check and balance that we have there. What happened in the last round of constitutional amendments is that the social partners, senators said, hey, government, make we stop just to change and leave it about the Constitution. Let's have a discussion about the entire Constitution. So that was one of the things that led to a clamor in the Parliament. Now, there's also the fact that the current government has as one of its manifesto promises that there would be constitutional reform. So those are, in my mind, some of the things that have us here, right? I'm not speaking about the weight of which one of them are more decide the thing, right? The other question you have is very important. Again, I can't talk for the government, but there is a feeling that the government knows what they want to change, as all governments do, right? That is their prerogative. But what is remarkable is that we have the Constitutional Commission, which has never been done in this way, right? One has been done in the past, but where we are constituted by the social partners, by people appointed because of their leadership positions in different areas, to ask the people what they want to see in the Constitution. Now, I can't incite treason, but the thinking is that if you don't give the people then what they want, that you have a problem later on. Right? Now, how the people take what goes into their report and is take out and that for the people say. But I think it's important that we acknowledge that we're here, and despite that a government might have its agenda, we want to hear from you what you would like in your constitution. I hope that helps to clarify.
So technically, it doesn't matter what the people think, the agenda will still take place.
That's not what I said. Let me say it again. I said that a government will always have its legislative agenda, right? That is not a function of the people of Belize, that is a function of the legislature. But I think I want to guide us away from having our mind closed, because if we approach this from a situation, you know what, they don't know what they want. Like, then why idea? Right? If I believe that, I know my idea. I know my idea. If I genuinely thought we're gonna waste time just because as like we're like, I mean, I like the snacks, so I'm going for the snacks, telling the truth, and the juice. But like, besides from that, I don't think we'd waste time. I think we have to at least give the process some time to work. And I don't want that to be the reason you don't share what you see. You don't put down the mic and you're not telling me one you're concerned yet. You just lick shot upon the process.
I just wanted to add something, Deputy, to the Lieutenant's question, because I think it's such a question, a burning question in the minds of so many people as we travel around the country. But while Cabinet made a decision to do this, I want to actually applaud the government, because this is a most extraordinary and unique opportunity that we Belizeans have been given to participate in formulating the future of our nation. We have that opportunity here and now to build a better Belize for those who will come after we're gone. And so I want to encourage, I want to ask you to take opportunity to think through, you as such an important stakeholder have this grasp in a way that most Belizeans don't. And so we're here to assure you that whatever you say today, we will find the way to make it into the report that will be going up to the Prime Minister. So it is really, in other countries, for example, this is not the way this commission is structured. It's structured from a very high top up, bottom down to the bottom. It's a problem. And so this organic way that the government is allowing us to come out and hear from the people, it's extraordinary, it's unique. So don't miss the opportunity. Let us come together to build a better country for those who will come after us. Thank you.
Real. So I actually just came back from a conference in Barbados, and I'll just tell you some of the ways that this usually works. So in Jamaica right now, the government select 14 technical people. So they're just telling, hey, only look at the constitution, only tell you what belongs in this constitution. And like nobody had any say about who the people were and what were their expertise. Now, they had enough sense to put like lawyers and like social scientists and like that. But this have sat, some people thought that the 23 organizations on the commission would have sat in a room, gone through the constitution and just say, take out this, add that, put in that. That's not what we're here for, right? We really need to hear from you. So over to you.
There was one of the things that the attorney mentioned, and it was the right to vote, adult suffrage. So the right to vote, I thought that was already in the Constitution.
There's a constitutional provision, I believe it's Article 92. It's very cumbersome. I think what Mr. Bradley was saying is that it's not a fundamental right. I can find it. So 92, where it says that for general elections, every citizen over 18, subject to the Representation of the People Act, shall have the right to vote. But they're like, wait about, right? It's not like like a fundamental right up at the front. Remember he was telling you about the 3 to 19. And it is there, but then when you have it like that, not as a constitutional right, and subject to the representation of people, that disqualifies like people who are in prison, and like it makes certain disqualifications. So I believe that's what he's saying. So are you suggesting to me that that's a
Yes.
fundamental right?
The other
I'm thinking to me, I say land right away, like
yeah,
we're
yeah,
going
that,
to.
I'm coming to that. The other thing was land as well, because many times as members of the Coast Guard and the military of Belize, I think we're the last ones to get land. And then not only that is looking for our future generations as well, because many Americans, many people from other countries come into our country and they get land, easily buy land, put it in their name, and then I wouldn't say wasting, but we're giving away our resources to people that are not Belizeans, that only come here perhaps for tourism, to take out the income from the country, probably to the US, probably to Mexico, Guatemala, or any other country, and we're benefiting nothing from it. So actually securing the future for our children and keeping the land only for Belizeans, I think has to be some kind of amendment as to not to sell land to foreigners or something like that.
That's one I've heard before, actually. This is a good one. I've heard that before. What was suggested was that the land be retained only for Belizeans, and foreigners would only have the ability to lease.
And the third one would have been more like a question. I know, sorry, the attorney mentioned something about the presidential system. So if we do get the presidential system, if we do choose, the majority of the people of Belize do choose to have a presidential system, how would that affect us? And where would we head from there?
I like to use that discussion to say that the appointment of a president had that one very, very, like we could have a whole next lecture upon that. One of the main things that we need to be clear on is that that's about our structure of our governance. And I am of the view that what's also important when we have that discussion is what functions we want the president to do. Or because we may want it to have, that's the main discussion, not just like because how it would affect us is directly related to the powers that we would want them to do. So I want you to give it some thought, because remember, I can't tell you what I have to write down. I can't write down nothing, but I have to tell you that you have to tell me, right? So I want to give it some thought and leave it more so that you can develop the point. So what I have right now is not like an instruction. So I want to leave it more thought and then tell us exactly how you are envisioning it to work, or some of the things you think aren't working on our current system, and then we go from there. Fair? All right.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Dennison.
Morning, Sego.
I have a couple hot topics. As usual, nobody want to touch me.
Raise the mic closer, Sego.
One of the first issues that a blatant misuse of the country's funds. Like Mr. Bradley rightfully mentioned, by no means should a government official be sponsoring a football team or a basketball team. That's my money. That's my tax money. To be honest, I prefer walk on paved streets instead of sponsoring a football team with my taxes, no?
You actually run on the paved streets, you know?
Yeah, all of that, run all about, you know
correct.
me?
Yeah, correct.
One of the next issues with the blatant misuse of the funds, my minister does not need a Range Rover. As far as I'm concerned, we should buy an entire fleet of Toyota Camrys. And,
then they fix the road.
And that's all I'm saying. Then we could fix the road. Toyota Camrys almost last forever. And run on little or no gas.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right?
To add to that, so that was for the misuse of the country's funds. So it's obvious at times that this country is being run as a dictatorship. The only time we see the government is come election time. The last time I saw my area representative was when he was lobbying for my vote. Since then, he now drives past me in his Land Rover and just honks his horn. Right? I haven't seen him on foot since then.
All
I'm saying, after election, no one comes back to the people. No one. What we do is sit in office for 5 years, behind closed doors, preferably, with security guards outside to stop the citizenry from meeting with our elected officials. You know?
Do you think the 5-year term limit is good where it's at?
Fair enough. Long enough to get comfortable, but quick enough to kick me out.
Okay.
Again, to add to what Mr. Bradley and Mrs. Reyes contributed the land issue. At the age of 18, let me tell you a short story. At the age of 18, I did 3 things. I applied for my voter's ID, I applied for my driver's license, and I applied for a piece of land. Up to now, that land issue is still pending. I'm 40 years old.
You gave voters card?
Well, that they were give. That they were give. And the driver's license, you pay for that, so okay. That they were give.
Sure.
But that land issue needs to be addressed. Healthcare, again, I believe that was a hot topic for the entire country. I believe not just for myself, no? In terms of schooling, I believe it should not just go up to primary school. We should include high school as well. Bear in mind that I just don't need subsidy for the government schools like EPR and Gwen Lizaraga. I mean across the board. Be it St. John's College, be it Maud Williams, across the board, free.
Free education.
Free education.
Up to what level?
High school at least. Tertiary should be, you know, by then the individual should be at around 18 and from there work on it by own. Anybody else?
Sego, healthcare, how you want that?
Healthcare?
Yeah. Hold the mic. You said healthcare, right?
All right. Again, sickness stuff for everybody. Everybody has to suffer some sort of illness. And to be frank, my salary is too small to be dealing with constant trips to the hospital with my son with asthma and my daughter has chronic eczema.
Oh, preach.
And my daughter, my son having asthma and my daughter having chronic eczema.
You mean you can't afford this?
No. Hold on, listen to me. That me address that.
Oh, all right.
That me address that. But as a part of the citizenry, there are individuals amongst us with more dire straits than that. With that being said, we need to look after our people. We can't just say we will do it. We need to do it, and we need to do a better job. And when addressing government individuals, they will say, why did it happen? But I not feel it. I need to feel it. And the country, I believe, needs to feel it as well.
So, Sego, should I put that you said healthcare should be free? Oh, okay.
And not only that, Mr. Deputy, not only that, but as a law enforcement, we supposed to have some good damn benefits. Huh? Only in this country, you go and they tax you more than what they think charge. We supposed to have, look at everywhere where we go, they're supposed to give you a discount. Huh? We deserve this country, right? I joined BDF in 1993, going for 31 years. Huh? And when time I walk out there, I don't know nobody. Because if you don't have money, right? That's why I guess Mr. Dickie Bradley they look for the white snapper, because he know. Right? Yeah, money talk. And Mr. Bradley walk. Walk you right off of the case. But I have one major concern.
Sorry, but I
You
want
said
to hear a concern, but you are aligning yourself with the free healthcare and free education, especially as it relates to law enforcement officers. They want like special.
Yes.
For that way to say.
Yes.
I hear you correct.
Yes.
Everybody there that.
Yes.
It's a whoop. All right.
Because,
it's a nope.
because while I could talk for their people here, the government should talk for everybody. So make the deal with the free health care for everybody.
Free health.
Yeah, because election are come again, and they are telling you, Mr. Somerville, we are doing it. We want it before election. But I have one major concern. When it comes to the subvention that they give these area representatives one time, that is 7,000. Hallelujah. Jesus enlightened with this morning and make we know that 25,000. And I have a proposal that they could make amendments that these area representatives should not decide how the 25,000 spent. That's why we elect village officials. They must have a stake in it. Because then they are going to say, I pay the people their school fees, I pay their light bill. That are your business. Take it out of your pocket. Not out of the people's money we're concerned for the village. Bring 2 prisoners and chop some bush and take the 25,000 and put it in your pocket. Not good enough. Pass Hattieville right now. Then the chop bush no crazy. Prisoners, while the politicians then they keep the money. Right? So we want them to legislate that they do not decide how this 25,000 spent, but the people that we elect come together and decide how the money.
At the village level?
Yes. So, if you have 25,000 and like Belize Rural Central, big. You can't want to spend, leave it Malante, leave it Democracia and Mahogany Heights, no. The whole 25,000 needs to go to one village. Call it 12 months. 25,000 this month for that village, 25,000 a month there, and the people who is elected in that village, make them stop be rubber stamp for PUP and UDP. You understand? And make them decide how the village will be able to benefit from this money. So, make them fix it. We don't want the politicians spend with money no more.
Pleasant good morning.
Morning.
I believe the previous 3 gentlemen touched on a lot. They touched on a lot on certain topics and kind of forced me to think about something else.
Good.
One of my things, I just want to know, is there a specific provision within the Constitution that allows me as an individual, or anybody as an individual, the right to like bear arms in order to protect what I have built?
Not in that way. Not to bear arms. But you do have right to your life and property, and the protection is there, but we do not have a right to bear. You ask specifically about bear arms. You ask about because you have.
Well, what I want to ask is actually leading up to the steps going about to procure a personal protection firearm, right? In order, because I live in a very bad neighborhood, and more than half of.
Am I one in the emergency zone right now?
Yeah, I'm one in the heart of the emergency zone too, and I know more than half of the Coast Guard members that live within Belize City, at least, right, lives in some of these, emergency zone, and the first thing when people look for we, they say like, oh, yeah, in a Coast Guard, he get paid in the US, right? So he got it thick in there. And while all the time I might not be home to protect my property, you know, the criminal elements, they might not know when I the home from when I know the home. And one of the things I noticed with how you go about to procure a firearm, that pretty much just one person in charge of saying, all right, yeah, I want to make it, all right, I want to grant you access for purchase one, right, for get one. One of the things where I think that, I don't think it should be one person, because let's say that that person they know me personally and have one serious issue with me, but I have a valid reason for needing one. He could always say, well, I don't like you, so you know I get it. Try again, right? And as long as that person they're in power, right? The consensus is that only that one person make the decision. I think something like that should be like have like one chair or one like one board or one committee.
I think they're working on that.
Yeah. Right. So because everybody else going to talk about healthcare, education, and you know, I just have to think about something on the spot. And that way I think that should be, something like that should be in place. I don't know if it's pertinent to the discussion that we're having here as well.
Thank you for that. So you're the ECHO, the healthcare, free education, better, and are you asking, just for clarification, are you asking for the better system for a firearm distribution as it relates to law enforcement officers or the citizens generally?
First for law enforcement officers, right? And I think for the general public at large, there should be more stringent measures, like in terms of background checks or different certification that must be in place to show that, all right, when they just give the regular John Doe, that's how we don't know diddly squat about how to operate one firearm, right? You know, they need to have at least some certification to show that they gone through one proper course, right? They know how to handle their firearm. Because personally, I've seen people where, you know,
it's always loaded.
Yeah, and a lot of the time I have to like, none of the practice are ass, you know, forgive me language. Right? But when it comes to the healthcare, if I could piggyback on what Pedro after saying, say, I also too have a daughter where suffer from severe eczema, and I know I lie, it's right, the medication for her is not cheap, right? In fact, I had to change out all my products where I use. She clothes have to get washed separate because that's special detergent. Because I could be real, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody know how much Fort Farmers graduated with a high school diploma June? Right? Now a ton load, and even more in terms of the ones that graduate for sixth form with an associate's or high school diploma, not really worth what it used to worth back in my days, in a 19 long, right? Right? So I believe that up to high school it should be completely free, and at least like have some kind of partial subvention when it could assist with for the tertiary level, at least up to an associate's. Right? Because right now, let's face it, the associates are like the new high school diploma. It not really worth much. Right? It not really worth much, but at least it help you get a little bit farther than a high school diploma right now.
Thank you. I see people stand up more and more. They got a line more and more. They got a line more and more. When that discipline force side, I think you got a line, I don't know.
Okay, morning.
Was this gentleman before you? I don't know. He didn't stand up good well. All right. Go
I mean,
ahead.
way over there, you never see me.
Sorry.
Okay, my first question is based on Schedule 1 of the Constitution.
Yes.
I know that we now have
You're technical, I like it. Continue.
a ongoing case at the ICJ
Yes.
right now with our territorial seas. First of all,
Before you continue, Schedule 1, that would say what the Belize.
the definition of Belize.
Continue.
In my opinion, I honestly believe that our government should have sat with way better legal-minded people as to why am I going to a court when my constitution defines what my country is. So I know we don't know the outcome of what the ICJ will be like, but if the ICJ is supposed to rule against us, our constitution will have to be amended again. And I am not sure if Mr. Bradley or you know if they had anybody who actually took that up into consideration that it's actually going against our constitution.
They had a whole referendum on that.
No, the referendum was there. However, how I will have a referendum when it's already states the definition of Belize? Hurry, go ahead.
I will use your question to make an exit. I'm glad that was brought up here because it affects UNO more than anybody else, more than the BDF. First of all, here is the good news. We won't lose our country. Guatemala is claiming the whole of Belize, but the best they could do is look from Cebu down to Saskatoon because of the history of how our country come about. Yeah? What used to happen is Spain owned everything in this part of the world. And after a while, Spain was becoming so rich that the other European countries said, like, that can't work. We need to get some of them free labor and then gold and then thing down there. So they start to attack the ships there and start to fight and war. Like Jamaica was under the Spanish, the British were able to fight and take it away. Trinidad and several others. With we, all of you who gone to sea know, we so blessed we have a thing they call barrier reef. Ship can't come across that. In fact, by Half Moon Key, more closer to the Blue Hole, you will see the remnants of a ship which is rusting away because, I don't know, it's very high, but then they try to come over the reef, they don't know nothing. So we are blessed because how this country started is that this country started off with pirates and gangsters and thieves and murderers. Then man, they used to attack Spanish ship and take away upon it and later on they carry it back to England. That's how they turn honorable and right honorable, bring in the money for England, not for Spain. But you can't just come in, I believe. You have to know which part to come. And so those of you know there's a channel like a snake right between Gulf Key and English Key. That is how ships can come here. Well, basically what happened is these people who are pirates and plunderers and thieves are trying to hide from the then Coast Guard, the equivalent of you all, because Spain will have ships searching for them. They find a way to come in and Belize, and guess what? They find water. You know how important water is when they're out on the sea. So they found water, so they start to use this. They find water and they find a hiding place. Later on, they find that a tree called a lagwood, which is just, well, you probably don't know more than me about lagwood. Lagwood doesn't have a big, huge trunk. Even they could cut it. Because this might sound racist, but white people weaker than we, you know, they're not as strong as we. So they could cut the lagwood. The lagwood is used to dye clothes and say, but they got on the one color, you could have all kind of colors. So lagwood was like cocaine, very valuable. They had to get permission from Spain to cut lagwood up north. And as they cut out the trees and they come further down, they got more permission. This is in writing in your archives in Belmopan and in the British records, yeah? That Britain had to ask and get permission in writing, in a treaty, in an amended treaty, to cut logwood and later cut mahogany. And then cut and carry back all the wealth out of the country until they reached Cebu. Things changed after that, they stopped us. You might not know this, and so since I'm leaving, I'll tell you this part, that the treaties that were signed, Spain said that the British could cut logwood, cut mahogany, no permanent structures. They're not to plant no sugar, plant no coffee, they don't have no kind of big plantation here. That is why the country never have anything. And Spain used to send and check. Their army and military and navy was next door in Mexico. They come and check, see that the British, they do what they signed to do. When you get a chance and read a man like a former leader, Nigel Boland, he has written an excellent book on the matter. Several times they came and chased off the British off of the territory because they were building things. In fact, the British didn't care all the sexy girl now that's in George's Key and then build house out there. And left the slave there to build what they call Igbo Town, the Belize City, the West Coast Street, and so on. And it's only, I'm not going into the matter of the battles in George's Key because there really was no battle, there was a wrong battle, but there really nobody in the fight. So I give you that long history, ma'am, because I want you to know that you're an East Indian, so?
Sir, please, nobody.
So, the situation is this, gentlemen and ladies. There is no way Guatemala will win anything at the ICJ that we will lose our territory. Yeah? It don't work like that. No court can give one whole country to one next country. They must say, one, your admiral load up their boat to the hilt and go really attack them down in the Sarstone. We're not going to lose our country. We're more than likely not going to lose even half of our country. There will be some problems in the Sarstone because you will see, and I'm telling you my own personal opinion, you will see that the Guatemalans have taken over half of the Sarstone. Don't make anybody tell you that that now will happen. Guatemalans have taken, without firing a single shot, over half the Sarstone River, which under the 1859 treaty, that is a part of our territory. But Belize is part of a kind of grouping which includes the British and the Americans, and so they have asked your boss not to give them no guns or ammunition, but take it back. But that's we have. This is my personal opinion to you. I would think the reason why we sit back and make that happen is because there's a possibility we might end up kind of bargaining to say, well, you can't get no land, my boy. If we work out something down there, because otherwise, we are the shitness nation on earth that another country could come and take the real river and we not fire one shot. One shot. That's why UNO is there, because your admiral is not there with that. I think we probably lose on part of the Sarstone River, but other than that, the whole land is right here. And we may be watching the wrong things here. What we for what? Is how a handful of Chinese could come and buy any kind of lot they want and get it, and how they could build a big three-story building. They used to sleep under the counter and from the counter, you know, and they got so much money. Look at, we can't compete with them then, yeah? We can't go try open new grocery shop. We don't have the money to do it. In fact, we didn't open anything, and then say like we all sell, and say like we didn't sell anything that night when we promote. You know, so we might be watching the wrong thing. That's why I'm glad a couple of you all are saying, oh, money and so. The Mennonites have gone out of reach. Some people who used to be Indians in the days when they used to call them Coolies, the other generation come, They flood the free zone, they buy out the whole Albert Street, they buy the whole Orange Street, and they corner that area of the market. You notice something, the Chinese deal with all of these small, not really whole house, I think these small place like Golden Tree, where you're probably in a look for me to a nice man that you want, lay down with him a while. They control all of that. And forgive me, I'm leaving shortly. We all can't open that kind of business. Why? Because as you haul up, girl, guess who? You remember Denfield? It just going out with a nice looking blonde lady. I want Facebook to the picture, right? We can't go to their business there. They pick certain areas and control it. Listen, we don't control nothing. All of you that spend and spend, that's why I want to get over time so we could spend more. We don't own nothing. That make you feel a little better? When I lose your land,
No, but yes, no about it. My other question is, everybody bring up the topic of land, but in the land laws of Belize, it states that the government owns basically all land. Our paper that we receive is only like a temp loan to the land, and as all of us are law enforcement officers, I believe that when you guys have this constitution, the People Constitution Commission, our minister or CEO could have been here also, so that when we voice our concern as security officers, they could take it in consideration to go and say, well, okay, our security forces feel like whatever was in our regulations goes against our constitutional rights and how they can fix it. For example, we pay tax, we pay heavy tax on our salary. We pay social security, and our social security benefits went up 3 times. And how...
Not the benefits.
The payment, sorry. How I would say, like, if we're security officers, the payments from our social security is supposed to be medical. We could pay a medical insurance rather than our social security payments. And our income tax could also be used as a way of life insurance for us, because even though we make a salary and with the cost of living, a lot of us cannot afford life insurance. But you understand nothing?
I'll make sure I type it first.
Okay then.
All right, so what you're suggesting is that you need a sort of insurance scheme for security officers, as well as that your income tax. Say the income tax part for me again.
The income tax, for us, we pay a lot. So I would, in my opinion, it would have been better if our income tax goes towards a life insurance policy for us as security officers.
Gotcha.
I understand nothing still.
Very good point.
You don't have no...
I'm afraid to tell how much I pay in the income tax.
I think that perhaps we're not here to answer, or we want to hear, and this is being recorded. So when you say that your CEO is not here, the Coast Guard, the Admiral, will be able to make a representation in a paper and hand it over to us. But that's what the deputy is here to do. He's recording everything that you're asking. That's why he's keenly asking you to clarify, so that we can put it in and make sure your representation is being heard. Thank you.
Read.
Good thing.
Read, Officer Reed, I want to invite you to some of the other public consultations that we have in like municipalities and so. So 9 ministers can go there. Let's tell you. Yes, sir.
All right. I have 2 burning issues, and this goes for the government ministers and scholarship. They give the scholarships to the people who are well off, who are rich, and the scholarship are made for the less fortunate. That's one issue. The other issue is the powers of the ministers. They even go and try to overthrow, or go over the person in the head of the departments. For example, Coast Guard. Plenty of times ministers would come and they would send their own people to enter to join the Coast Guard, while we have people who pass the test and they don't accept them. BDF as well, police department as well. These things need to stop.
Okay, so I got the first note, scholarships for the poor people. The second note is like reducing ministerial discretion.
Yes. Thank you. Samuel.
Yes, good morning. Probably this has been said already. A small recommendation. The implementation of declaring financial statements and assets for public officers, parliamentarians, everyone working in the government system, so that we can combat the threat of corruption in this country that is plaguing this country. That's it. Thank you.
Sorry, Monima, you said everybody in government, public officers, parliamentarians.
Mr. Deputy, as well, we want our government to sign on to that anti-corruption law. We want, look here, make them sign on so that if we go to jail, my brother.
Hi, good morning. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard about the killjoy theory. So we were asked to talk about what is bothering us within the Coast Guard as it relates to our constitutional rights being violated. So I'm looking at Chapter 2, Protection of our Fundamental Rights and Freedom. And so I will read what it says and then touch the part that I want to discuss on. This section, I will read again. This section details the protection given to the fundamental rights and freedom of all Belizeans. Section 3 makes it clear what the other section put in more details, where every person in Belize is entitled to the fundamental rights and freedom of the individual. That is to say, the right, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, creed, and sex, but subject to respect for the rights and freedom of others and for the public interest to each and all of the following. Now looking at Section 6 states, all persons are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to the equal protection of the law. Section 9 states, except with its own consent, a person shall not be subjected to the search of his person or his property of the entry by others on his premises. So there are different issues and different ways that our own constitutional right is being violated within the Coast Guard. For example, the unlawful dismissal of individuals, being verbally dismissed, right? There is no paper trail or black and white that states, you are dismissed from this job, and this is the reason why you are dismissed. An example would be, not hypothetically speaking, but let me give this as an example because this is a situation that had occurred. There was this individual on deployment, right? He was actually patrolling, and some person decided that I am going to search this person's bag without his consent, violating his right to privacy. And with that, he allegedly found suspected substance, said to be marijuana. Now an investigation was supposedly launched. This person was asked to do a drug test, right? This person's bag was searched without his consent. Witness was called, and at any point, that person who searched that person's bag could have been the one to have placed that evidence in his bag. So now, this person still went to tribunal, even though the evidence was there to see that, hey, I searched this person's bag without his consent. I found these things in his bag, which should not even be considered to be a part of the tribunal, as his rights was already violated. But even so, before going into a tribunal, it's always ex parte. It's never, you are not seen innocent, you are seen guilty until proven guilty. Right? So it's always ex parte. Whenever a sailor is going into a tribunal, his case is already discussed before that. His being innocent is already discussed. They have already found that, this person is already guilty.
He's at the tribunal though, right?
At the tribunal, yeah.
Okay.
Because I am also someone who is also a defense advocate. So being in that space, I can see all the injustices that sailors are experiencing. And there are more injustices that sailors are experiencing. But like they say, when you're trying to fix a problem, they say to start from the top. Use the top to bottom approach. But in this institution, it's not working. They are talking about we will deal with the bottom. We will teach them about certain things. We will, if you do this, this is the consequences that you will suffer. But no one talks about when the top is the one feeling the bottom. Who holds them accountable? People are being dismissed without black and white. People are being verbally dismissed. So my question is, what can they do in terms of experience these certain issues and their constitutional right constantly being violated?
Thank you. All right. I would like to comment on that one. I just want to be, I think I owe it to the Admiral to clarify the constitutional freedoms that, if you will allow me, I can't give legal advice, so this is not legal advice on any particular case. The constitutional protections, all with the exception of inhumane treatment and slavery, they all have what are called provisos. Inhumane treatment, that's the only one that doesn't have provisos. Those provisos are there usually so that, I can give an example, that might help better. So we have freedom of movement, we have protection from search and all those things, right? But then we also have to protect the rights of other people. So, for example, when you pass out here at the checkpoint, they stop, well, they don't stop Uno, but they stop me, right? Especially when I come from the farm, I look like I'm crazy. They stop me at the checkpoint. Now I come from the farm, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, my hair look crazy, in a raggedy clothes. So there has to be, while I have freedom of movement, there has to be, in national security interests, a way for the law enforcement officials to be able to infringe on a right that you have in the interest of the public generally, and they usually have public safety, public order, public morality, the interest of defense, public health. So rights are not absolute in that way that you just say, oh, I'm putting out this rights card, because the court is always the one, so if you feel that you've been wrongly violated, the court is the one to say whether that infringement on your right was allowable, right? So, back to my example. So when police stop me, look like I'm crazy, they could ask me for my driver's license. That is reasonable, and they could even tell me pull aside for my driver's license if I take too long. That is reasonable because I operate a motor vehicle and they need to know that I am qualified to operate that motor vehicle, right? So in that circumstance, they have stopped me, but that restriction on my freedom of movement is provided for in the Constitution. That infringement is a reasonable infringement. In relation to search, there is also a similar provision as it relates to search, where, indeed, we're on 9, right? A 9. Right, 9. So, same qualifications apply to your right from arbitrary protection from arbitrary search and seizure. Where you have a reasonable suspicion, where police have a reasonable suspicion for the things. Now, in those provisions, and as public officers, as security service officers, we subject ourselves to like lesser rights. Like, that's how it works. Because we now remove ourselves from being regular citizens to the category of people in the country who have to ensure that these rights are enjoyed by all citizens. And in doing that, we restrict our rights. So that, for example, when hurricane, you can pull out your freedom of movement card and say, you know what, Mr. Bennett, I got freedom of movement right now. I'm going to have monkey. It don't work like that. It can't work like that because it can be anarchy. And the same would apply to, I'm not giving legal advice, right? But similar provisions would apply for if you're operating on a bay, on a boat, like, and so yes, they have similar provisions apply, but there's an appeals procedure, and the thinking behind the appeals procedure is that if Mr. Bennett gets it wrong, and he writes and recommends to dismiss you, and so then you have where you would go to your appeals tribunal, and that is there as a safeguard. So I start the discussion by saying, when you could talk to me if you feel like they think they know the work. Remember, I started like that, right? So if you feel that the grievance procedures are not working, then you could tell me that, and we could write that down.
Right.
So that actually tell me?
That's right.
All right, good. Can you specify where you think it's not working, Security Service Commission? Where do you think it's breaking down?
Well, if information gets here, most of it, well, in my opinion, because it's my opinion, when information gets here, if you send it here, many people do not know that if you don't get your voice heard, if you send something up, it stops there. It doesn't go to the ministry. It might not get to the Security Service Commission. And if you don't wait your 21 days and you don't know that there's this 21 days period that you can eventually, if they are not doing anything here, then you can go to the ministry. And many people don't know that. And so if they have a grievance or a complaint, then it just stays here.
Yeah, you can't do that. But you see, that's why you have to educate on the procedure, because if the procedure not work, if you don't understand the procedure, that's a different problem from that they say the system not work. If you don't know about the system, because you don't know about it, that one different problem from they say the system not work. So because that 21-day procedure thing, that did exactly for if the powers that be at the top try hold about. Right? So that's the part of the system what we have to make that work. So if you don't know about that, then the next problem we'll talk about altogether.
Because it's evident that our system is broken. If you start from the first chain of command, it doesn't go anywhere from there. The first person at the chain can't help you. The second person at the chain cannot help you. And then if you get to the top, and that's a problem too, then you need to go somewhere else.
Do you have a suggestion to where?
Well, someone that can listen and help and do the right thing, who has integrity to do the right thing by the sailors.
Not the Security Services Commission, is that what you're saying? I'm trying to...
Where it's supposed to go, if it doesn't help here and then you go to the ministry, then you have to go as far as the Security Service Commission, or maybe
you
you
can go there, right?
You definitely can, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to look at the recording to make your note, right? Because you uploaded a lot. But I needed to be clear on something that, like, I say it again, Mr. Bennett, and I know this, me and Mr. Bennett never had no side talk about this, right? You catch me, so you give me raw way I feel. Like, on the base and like that, on the government boat and like that, you can't pull out there rights and freedoms and say, yo, no, to search my bag and not got my consent. Especially if they smell weed.
And if you're not present, you search your bag while you're not present.
That's our next thing. But I can't give a legal advice on that. But you see how cautiously I talk? I just say you have to be careful when you think. Because if you got reason to believe anything, then... Yeah, I work for the government. I'm careful how I answer. But we could sidebar afterwards if we don't want. Fair enough? All right. We got any more questions, comments, concerns? You got more?
I have another concern. This is concerning, say, all right, as Mr. Bradley said, the People Constitution is the supreme law of the nation. There is no law like the Constitution, right? All other laws cannot do what the Constitution can do. So my question is, it says that the Constitution is the supreme law. So when it comes to our regulation, does anything in there, if they create a law with it, if anything in the Constitution changes, right? It governs everyone, right? That change governs everyone. So now, when it comes to our regulation, does it do the same? If you change a law within that regulation, does it do the same? Does it covers everyone? Everyone benefits from the law.
Everyone is meant to cover. And,
right.
So the regulations are, so the laws have a hierarchy, right? There's a very interesting hierarchy. Yeah. This is the supreme law, the Constitution. And then you have your substantive laws and you have your regulations underneath. Then you have like your rules and orders, right? So there's that hierarchy. So you can't have like a rule that's not in conformity with the Constitution. So those things are all like, anything that quote, like those things can be, like if there is a regulation that's passed that you feel is not, and get legal advice on it. This are not legal advice, right? You have to get real legal advice. Get legal advice because if there's a provision that you feel would violate you, and Macab said it's very clear, when you subject yourself to working for the government, you give up some of your rights.
You're subject to the injustices.
So the question is, if they've gone too far. Right. It's a question of degree then, because you can. It's not an absolute right. I like to use this one, right? So like, this is a good one. Please remember this one. All right, sorry, turn up the volume for me, cause yeah, the hush. This thing is quiet. You have this thing. Right. I say this one. So, like, I have freedom of movement, right? And I could like, that includes swinging my hand like that. But if I have a pat come like wrong here, like my ability to swing my hand, my right to swing my hand, have a stop with the she face start. Because otherwise I'll violate she. So you can't say that I have freedom of movement and like, well, she from me know enough to come wrong. I have a responsibility to stop my hand for the move when her face to come wrong, right? And like that, they're like, when you're in the military, when you're in the armed forces, even me as a public officer, we have a restricted form of these rights, and we exchange that for, you get a salary, you get 15th ending, I don't know how often for one come in, but like your exchange, like an exchange you give. And so it's always a question of, did the infringement not meet the provisions that of the Constitution? So they say, yes, it may. The argument will always be made, we restricted that movement, we did what we had to do in the interest of defense, or in the interest of public order. The question always, did it go too far? And I'll give you a good example with that. The emergency provisions for COVID, they restricted all of our, well, not only, but they restricted the Belizean people's freedom of movement, right? So a private citizen come and gone to court and then say, hey, but I have freedom of movement, and now Mr. Barrow and the government decide I can't move. Then the government would be made to respond and say why they restricted that freedom of movement. And that because of COVID. So the judge, I think in that situation, the judge would say, no, but the restriction was reasonable in the circumstances for health purposes of everybody else. In the same way, they would exercise and balance whatever your grievance is. They would weigh that and see whether or not the going in at the bank to smoke weed, going up on the island, and no weed no sell out there, so how to carry it out. Whether the searching at the bag was reasonable in the island or why they assume. That's how it works. Clear?
I have another thing pertaining to our regulation. So in our regulation, it states that if you have an associate's degree, you get 3 increments. If you have a bachelor's degree, I think you get 2 increments. And if you have a master's degree, you get 3 increments. Now, when it comes to the associate's degree, our regulation was reviewed in 2017, I think. I'm not sure. But within that regulation, when it was revised, it states that that is when they put that for an associate's degree, you get 3 increments. Now, I was verbally told that if you have an associate's degree before 2017, you're not entitled to that 3 increments. So I am confused as to why that is, or why it only benefits those who came into the job 2017 and after. Who made that rule? Who is benefiting from that?
Mr. Bennett, I hope none of that will happen, because it wouldn't work like that. I can't give you legal advice, sorry. But I hear you. Laws like that would work prospectively. I'll leave it as that. So if you had the right before the law changed, you're supposed to get the right. I can't tell you nothing else more than that. See, Ms. Zab can scold me.
No.
I hope that helps. You understand what I'm saying to you? You understand very clearly.
The people here need to understand that too, because
again?
if you're going to change a regulation, in my opinion, and in my rights, then everyone should benefit from that.
It wouldn't work like, it shouldn't work like that. But that's something you should put in writing, and I advise you to put in writing, because as a public officer, it shouldn't work like that. Any change in your terms cannot affect you adversely for something you already had, you were entitled to at a point. It can only affect those that get it afterwards. That's my view. And they could ask the AG, when you write, then they have to write the Ministry of National Security and ask to their legal opinion and so. Then they have to trigger the procedure, but you have to put it in a writing. Sorry, I can't answer no more. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. That 12 o'clock, so we have to go with the questions then.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My concern is that if it can be included in the Constitution that after so many years of service for us public officers, for a benefit for our service, if we can be granted a piece of land and a house for a thank you for your service. Happy your sir.
You tell we, right? You tell we. Okay. Anything for like the amount of years?
Probably 10 years, the threshold. Once you reach 10 years, then probably you could be entitled or entitled. Yeah.
There are two different things, eligible
Yeah,
and entitled.
Entitled, sir.
Entitled.
Yes, sir.
I write it alone. That don't type.
No,
that don't
no.
type. That don't type. And you're the same. No, can just be clear. You're the ask for Coast Guard. They ask for public officers.
For public officers.
Public officers.
Yes, sir.
He could speak for me too, no, Mr.
Well, it's including Coast Guard too, right?
Public
Because
officers.
we are public officers, yeah.
I'll put public officers and then I'll put in a bold post.
Yes, sir.
Coast Guard. All
Yes, sir.
right. Including Coast Guard, you said. All right. I've typed your son now.
Yes, sir.
I got you down. You want a constitutional provision that says after a certain amount of years,
after
10 years,
yes, sir.
you're entitled to a piece of land, and after 20 years, one house.
No, sir. 10 years, not
10 years land and
20.
house?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, dude.
All right. Got you.
Yes, sir. And then if it can be included there that 1 year before your retirement, if the government can grant we at least 1 year so we can adjust back into the civil society.
No, you have to say that thing because, like, you see how you mumble it, but then and then sometimes you type, and then so you have to say it. If you not say it, you have to say it.
For his voice, little bit louder, man.
Yeah, but that way to tell me because I have to, you have to be clear
Yes,
from
sir.
what you want to say.
Yes, sir.
You,
Paid.
You want that be a paid thing.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what they say.
Yes, sir.
So like 1 year pre-retirement leave.
Yes, sir.
Paid.
Paid, sir.
Got you.
All right. And final one, if we, the public, can select our leader outside of that political party.
So a system that direct election of the,
Yeah,
like
the only
like the Prime Minister?
Yes, yes.
Got you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Wait. I want to clarify something, just for my own thing, because I think about how this would work. So you want direct election for the person who would control the cabinet?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go set just hear me out. Let's just say the reform come up like that, like we get a president now, and the president, that person that you want will directly elect, that's what they say?
Yes. Like,
because, remember, so if we get a president, and then that he control the money and so, you would just tell me prime minister, but that he or mean, the person who, the overall person.
Yeah. Be different.
Directly election from ballot.
Yes, only for that post.
Yes.
Not alongside.
Not era rep kind of thing.
Yeah.
All
only
right.
that post.
Got you. Understand.
Thanks, sir.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to say thank you for being here today.
I'm happy to be here.
My curiosity...
I got a lot of work to do, but happy to be here.
Okay, sure. My curiosity begs me to ask just a direct question. I'll keep it straightforward. In the preamble, in the Supreme Law, will our Constitution retain the fundamental of acknowledging God as our supremacy?
Are you telling me that that's what you want?
I'm asking.
You have to tell me what you want, sir.
Of course.
All right, good.
A nation without God is a nation with disorder. That is all.
Retain God in the preamble.
Right. And acknowledging Him as our supremacy.
I have a question, or what I would like to be added into the Constitution is like a criteria for someone to become a minister or a politician. You know, many of our politicians, some old senior guys, they haven't even gone to school or anything, and it's just by popularity. That popularity thing could change a bit. I mean, if we get the proper qualified people to run the different posts or ministries or whatever, it would be an asset for the developing country.
Criteria for someone to become a politician?
Yes.
Minister. They're not two different things.
Well, minister...
You concern yourself about the people in where they run the government.
To be
minister.
Politician in a whole.
House of Representatives.
Yes.
Okay, we have to have a discussion. So remember, in our current system, you vote for your area representatives, right? And then if he party win, then he got a chance to become a minister, right? So you're suggesting that where you want the criteria there for them be House of Representatives or for them be minister?
The area rep won't be a popularity thing.
Okay.
You know, from the beginning, because most of the time the area reps end up to be the minister in whatever, you know. So at the bottom you have to start. To make you be an area rep, you have to get certain qualifications. We're not just going to pick anybody.
Like?
Well, probably bachelor's degree or have some kind of educational background.
So like an educational criteria?
Yeah.
Good thing I never said masters came here and ruled me out.
I know everybody hungry, but right, we have to keep this thing going.
Constitution,
correct.
That the full week.
You know the word on the streets. Once that there's word on the streets, you understand somebody going to jail. Because the word on the streets are always so. If they're not so, they're nearly so. They say when fish come for water bottom and say alligator got pain in a belly, you could believe them. So, right now, we know that the government is in process of amending the pension scheme thing. They want, we got 60 people, it's dead quick, yeah, man. Right? So, I just very want baby, 2 weeks old.
and then you want to change it to 60. You don't have a chance. So, when we amend anything, especially in the Constitution, it has to benefit the people, right? It can't benefit that the politician, they get more and thief more. It has to benefit the people. So, I amend that we move from 55 and go to 50. I want to be pensioner. Why will we move something? Why will we move something and they will say we want to benefit the people? If you want to benefit the people, you understand? Start to give out to your pocket, right? Stop giving a lot of people a lot of money and then they don't pay back nothing, right? We have to pay everything. You hear what Mr. Bradley said? Beat the billionaires, then they get free exemption, cross the board. Look here, we have to pay if we walk out there. And then they get free. You know, right? So I am saying is that when they amend the law, and I will put my name on the record, Mark Anthony Allen Somerville Sr.
I miss her name, sure.
Don't worry about it. You try to write it down.
I'm going to try, but I got too much name. Mark Anthony Sutherland.
Allen. Not Sutherland. Somerville.
Mark Anthony Allen
Somerville. Yeah.
Senior.
Lived at Hattieville and used to work at Ladyville. I want, if we are serious, and this is not no joke, no, I'm serious. If we are serious about providing for people, they say, you understand, everybody must win. We know the seat. We know the seat. And so I am saying is that bring the pension from 55 to 50. That is my suggestion, and I make them know that I'm me say so.
All right. I want to, because we're doing an education campaign, I want to encourage every, I don't know, is it public service regulations apply to regulations?
Public service.
Security services regulations?
Yes.
We have an own. All right. See if no one got one like so the Constitution have one article 112.2b. Please write that down. Article 112.2b. That I want to talk about pension. And my understanding of that one say any pension law will apply to the person who are in the public service, that the pension law when they start.
So why they want to move?
Unless there was a better one to the person.
Hey! No, with that. And then we, so they need to map it out.
112.2b. I'm going to read it, man.
All right.
This that way.
But then still, please take the note.
I don't take the note.
All right. Because we don't want to
want to be better. 55
yeah, because
50.
60 not help me.
I ain't sure if I reach there.
But I say I want my money now.
I got you.
You understand? Listen. After I done work almost 31 years, then you want to stretch me out farther. That way you want to do. Walk like this. I need to throw up my grand picnic. I need to buy something for them. I want my pension, sir. Please, Mr. Deputy, tell them 50.
Got you. You write it down, right? 112.2b. I want to read that down. Make an officers know what that's saying now.
112.2b.
112.2b. I'm already counted it to the mic.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
I had a more like a issue when it came to the 10% cut from public officers, and they promised us different things, such as land, in compensation to the deduction of our pay. I do believe that some people got the piece of land, but what happened to the rest of us that never received that? And also, when it comes to the cost of living, it's going up. We barely could afford to come to work, yes, to travel, to buy groceries for our children, and most of us help our other family members that can't find a job, right? I know people probably maintain 3 other families besides their own. And I believe that if the cost of living is going up, also our salary should be going up. Because when it comes to the protection of our country, we are right in front defending everyone else. So why can't we also see benefits of that? If you go to a store and the store wants to put $10 on a pack of noodles and it's supposed to be $5, we can't complain, because if we complain, it won't change. It's been many times that I know people go to the institutions that you're supposed to go and report that the prices, escalate, and nothing has changed. We have to buy the pack of noodles because that's what we need to eat or feed our families with. So all I'm asking is, if the price of living is going up, benefit our citizens and public workers and increase their salary as well, so we could at least afford to stay alive and not starve.
Got you, Maury. That's it? Only want to eat? Don't worry about food, man. Don't deal with the Constitution. No other questions? Queries? I see some people ship up in their seat like they got things they want to ask and they don't want to come. Somebody come and nobody come up front? Alright, so look at us do a quick recap then tell me if I get the essence I wanted to say. Yeah, right now. Keep the land for Belizeans. Oh, you have to tell me about the presidential system and how you think you could see. I know, see, that's how we have to review.
So even though I agree that at some point in time, we have even though I agree that at some point in time we have to move
from the current governmental system that we have, I think this is not the right time to move to the presidential system. I think that we should settle our matter at ICJ first and see what comes from that, see what is resolved, and then decide to move on the presidential system. This is just not the right time.
Yes, that's definitely true. Anybody else? That's it? Presidential system, they use the kind of misuse of country funds, land to be issued, or issue of land. Implementing the anti-corruption laws for securing your financial assets, some of the grievance procedures need to be reviewed. Land after 10 years, land a house after 10 years. There is a query between 10 and 20 for the house. Pre-retirement leave for 1 year, direct educational criteria. And there are unresolved issues as it relates to 10% cut, land not being delivered, and the cost of living being too high. Is that adequately reflecting what our discussion was today? All right. Somebody has something else? That's what we discussed today, right? In the last one.
Concludes this morning's forum presented by People's Constitution Commission. Thank you guys for participating. Please give yourself a round of applause. Dear kind of citizens of Belize who are entitled to your freedom of speech, to use it. On behalf of Commandant Rear Admiral Elvin Bennett and the men and women of the Belize Coast Guard, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you for enlightening us on the Commission's work and the government's due diligence in preserving the constitutional rights of Belizean citizens.
Thanks very much again for the presentations. I think they were very good, very applicable. Mr. Valley was able to deliver a good presentation and we were able. Thank you very much for that. Thanks everyone for making that contribution to your made this morning. I want to echo what Mr. Denison mentioned, that this is not good. You still have the opportunity to influence what the country is supposed to look like. Clearly, it is evident that we don't know enough about our Constitution. We're all guilty of it and believe it on a whole. I encourage you to go away from here, get a hold of the Constitution, read it and understand. And I urge you to circle back whenever the team goes in your municipality or in your area, attend those meetings and then make contributions that affects the Constitution. And I came to that conclusion because I realized that majority of the opinions, the discussions, the questions that were delivered just now were not necessarily geared at the Constitution, but they were geared at 1, 2, or even 3 levels below. You're looking at regulations, you're discussing acts that govern us in the matters. With that said, immediately following this, I would like to our disposal. We don't have an opportunity like this where we're having a bunch of people there. So I want to our disposal immediately following this, where you can tackle more in detail some of those issues that we brought up with our Coast Guard matters. So stand fast for that. But again, thanks very much to the team for the effort and for doing what the national making process and making it